What if not all wisdom is actually wise? What if the way you think is guiding your life, but leading you in the wrong direction? And what if true wisdom isn't about how smart you are, but about where your heart is? In a world full of information, opinions, and advice, wisdom has become something everyone claims to have. Social media is filled with voices telling you how to live, what to believe, and what success looks like. But the question is not whether there is wisdom around us. The real question is, what kind of wisdom are you following? In Epistle of James chapter 3, verses 13 to 18, we are given a powerful and clear distinction between two kinds of wisdom. Wisdom that comes from the world and wisdom that comes from above. James begins with a challenge. Who is wise and understanding among you? It's not a question about knowledge. It's not about education or intelligence. It's about evidence. Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. In other words, real wisdom is not proven by what you say. It's proven by how you live. Anyone can claim to be wise. Anyone can speak confidently, argue passionately, or appear knowledgeable. But true wisdom reveals itself in character. It shows up in humility. It shows up in actions. It shows up in the way you treat people when no one is watching. And then James introduces the first kind of wisdom, the one that does not come from heaven. He describes it with three powerful words: earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. That's strong language. But it reflects a serious truth. This kind of wisdom is rooted in selfish ambition and bitter envy. It's the kind of thinking that says, I need to win, no matter what. I need to be better than others. I need to protect my image, my success, my position. It's driven by comparison, competition, and pride. And at first, it might look like success. It might look like confidence, ambition, and strength. But underneath, it produces something very different. James says where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. Think about that. Disorder, chaos, broken relationships, conflict, division. That's the fruit of worldly wisdom. It creates environments where people compete instead of support, judge instead of understand, and tear down instead of build up. It may promise success, but it often leads to emptiness. Because it's focused on self, not on truth. And when everything revolves around self, nothing is ever enough. You're always chasing more recognition, more approval, more control, and yet peace remains out of reach. That's the deception of worldly wisdom. It looks appealing, but it leaves you restless. Then James shifts the focus. He introduces a different kind of wisdom, a wisdom that comes from above, a wisdom that reflects the nature of God. And he describes it in a way that is both beautiful and challenging. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Let's pause and really look at that. Pure, not mixed with selfish motives, not driven by hidden agendas, clean in intention, peace-loving, not seeking conflict, but seeking harmony, not feeding division, but healing it, considerate, aware of others, thoughtful, gentle in response, submissive, not weak, but willing to listen, willing to yield, not always needing to be right, full of mercy, ready to forgive, ready to show compassion even when it's undeserved. Good fruit, producing actions that reflect goodness, kindness, and truth. Impartial, not playing favorites, not judging based on status or appearance. Sincere, real, authentic, without hypocrisy. This is what true wisdom looks like. Not loud, not arrogant, not self-centered, but humble, peaceful, and deeply transformative. Now ask yourself honestly, which wisdom is shaping your life? Because the difference matters. One leads to chaos, the other leads to peace. One is driven by ego, the other is guided by humility. One focuses on self, the other reflects God. And here's something important to understand. Wisdom is not just about big decisions. It's about daily choices. It's in the way you respond when someone disagrees with you. It's in the way you handle criticism. It's in the way you treat people who cannot benefit you. It's in the thoughts you allow to grow in your mind. Every day, you are choosing which wisdom to follow, sometimes without even realizing it. When you choose to hold on to jealousy, you are walking in worldly wisdom. When you choose to act out of selfish ambition, you are following a path that leads to disorder. But when you choose humility, patience, and love, you are stepping into wisdom from above. And that choice changes everything, because wisdom shapes direction, It determines the path you take, and over time it defines the life you live. James ends this passage with a powerful statement. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. That's the result of godly wisdom, peace. Not temporary peace, but lasting peace. A peace that comes from alignment with truth. A peace that flows from a heart that trusts God. A peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, but on character. And this kind of peace is powerful. It influences others. It creates environments where people feel safe, valued, and respected. It reflects something deeper, something divine. But this kind of wisdom doesn't come naturally. It requires intentionality. It requires surrender. It requires choosing God's way over your own instincts. Because often, your instincts will push you toward pride, defensiveness, or control. But wisdom from above calls you to something higher. It calls you to trust, to humility, to grace. And that's not always easy. Sometimes it means staying silent when you want to argue. Sometimes it means forgiving when you want to hold a grudge. Sometimes it means stepping back when you want to prove a point. But in those moments, something powerful happens. You grow. You become more aligned with God's character. And your life begins to reflect a different kind of wisdom. A wisdom that stands out in a world full of noise. A wisdom that doesn't just speak, but transforms. So how do you cultivate this kind of wisdom? It starts with your heart. Ask yourself, what is driving me? Is it pride or humility? Is it selfish ambition or genuine love? Is it comparison or contentment? Then seek God, because true wisdom comes from Him. It's not something you create, it's something you receive. Through prayer, through reflection, through aligning your life with His truth. And as you do that, your perspective begins to change. Your reactions begin to shift. Your words begin to reflect something deeper. And slowly, your life begins to look different, more peaceful, more grounded, more meaningful. This is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. Aware of the choices you make. Aware of the thoughts you entertain. Aware of the wisdom you follow. Because in the end, wisdom is not just about knowing what is right. It's about choosing to live it. And that choice, made daily, consistently, has the power to transform everything. Your relationships, your mindset, your direction, your future. So today, pause and reflect. What kind of wisdom is guiding your life? And if it's not leading you toward peace, humility, and truth, it may be time to change direction. Because the wisdom from above is available to you. It's not distant. It's not unreachable. It's present, waiting for you to choose it. And when you do, you step into a life that is not only wise, but truly alive. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today.